All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good things to talk about. I did switch up the situation a little bit. I'm in the back of the house now, and I set up my green screen, and I'm trying to get the lighting right because who would have thought that lighting is actually pretty hard to do? So every time you got your pictures taken when you were in grade school, and all the Jostens people came and set up all the lighting, that's actually a lot harder than it looks. So things are a little different looking. My monitor is a little darker because when I have it on the usual setting, the light pouring into my face makes me look like a super ghost. But either way, I'll work it out. It's just version 1.0. We're in the alpha here, people. So anyway, let's get to the main story of the day, and that is the Innosilicon A9Z Master miner that just came out. Now, I never really recommend going out and getting ASIC miners. I suppose if you have a ton of money, you can go ahead and do it. Because at first glance, they look amazing, and they always do, and particularly this one, admittedly. However, usually by the time you get these, the profit is like half of what it was, and also, these are destroying GPU mining as we know it. The reason is because this is one of the most efficient ASIC miners I have ever seen. It does 50,000 souls at only 620 watts mining Equihash. That is way more efficient than the Antminer Z9 Mini that just came out at 10,000 soul. So let's actually check here and see what that gets you. So 10,000 soul for the Bitmain Z9 Mini gets about $27.99 a day, and that is decreasing by the day. The first time that I looked at this, it was about $50 a day, and so now 10,000 is about $27.99 a day. So it lowers all the time, and I guess you also have to mess with this to see your true profits. But I'm not really messing with the wattage or your power cost or anything like that. That is something that you would have to do based on how much wattage you're going to be using. It does say how much watts they use, but either way. So now 50,000 souls for Equihash. So this is a Zcash mining calculator. So Zencash or Zclassic or I think Komodo could be different. So it depends on what you are mining. Gets you about $139.93 a day. Interestingly enough, last night I was live streaming. I was just playing some games and checking out my new setup here, and a lot of people were watching. So thank you for all of you that were with me last night. And I actually checked the price last night live, and it was $146 if I'm not mistaken, and some odd change. And now it's $139. So every time you look at this, essentially it is less than the last time. So how much do these things cost? Which I believe is, yes, $9,999, or just a cool 88.41 Litecoin, or a very smooth and easy 1.38 Bitcoin. So quite expensive, and the first 300 batch one customers will receive free shipping and a free PSU, which I'm sure has already been well over 300 orders by now, and they should have probably taken that down. I don't know how many they've ordered or people have ordered already, but I'm assuming it's more than 300, and he probably won't get free shipping or a free PSU. I don't know. So there's that. That's the main news of the day. One of the most incredible miners I've ever seen. However, again, it's destroying GPU mining for everybody, which is the majority of people, and only the minority of people are going to get these Innosilicon miners, which essentially one of these days here in a couple months, you're going to be mining away Equihash with your GPUs, and notice, why am I only getting $2 a day for my 1080 Ti? Well, thank this thing right here. So one of the last bastions of mining algorithms left I would say is Litecoin. And that includes Vertcoin and Monocoin, which aren't the greatest coins. I am a fan of Vertcoin, but they're not the greatest coins around, but they're usually pretty profitable. And then for AMD miners, Kryptonite is still okay, and Ethereum is still okay as well. There has been some Ethereum ASICs that have come out, but honestly, they're a bit underwhelming in terms of their hash rate. They're somewhat efficient, but again, very underwhelming, and it's basically a horse apiece. You could get a bunch of 570s and mine just about the same for the same price or so. So it doesn't really matter on the Ethereum ones, but sooner or later, I think some more efficient Ethereum miners will come out in terms of ASICs, and will just essentially take that away from us as well. So I'm waiting for the day that a Lira 2 miner comes out. It should be sooner or later here. So Litecoin is preparing a breathtaking moonshot, says consultant. So we've heard this before with LitePay, and that turned out to be a total fiasco. But let's go with it. So Litecoin is currently the 6th largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, having fallen from grace in recent months. However, some cryptocurrency analysts claim Litecoin is due for a resurgence preceding mass adoption. So a breathtaking moonshot. Litecoin has taken a back seat lately, particularly following the failure of LitePay and the increased hype surrounding EOS mainnet launch, with some questioning whether or not LitePay is even worth it while Bitcoin continues to reign supreme. So blockchain funds Gabriel Francisco, however, believes Litecoin will be one of the first cryptocurrencies to actually gain a mainstream adoption for shoppers. So poised on the brink of greatness, Litecoin is preparing for a breathtaking moonshot. Again, we've heard that before, dubbed the Rock at times. This clone of Bitcoin has shown incredible market resilience and price inertia. I do like Litecoin, by the way. So pegged at 84 million coins, Litecoin is 4 times faster than Bitcoin, has 4 times the supply. In other words, Bitcoin is to gold what Litecoin is to silver. So Francisco's view, Bitcoin will continue to be used as a store of value for investors, while Litecoin will actually be used in stores, depending on who picks it up. So Bitcoin will be used as a store of value, and Litecoin will be one of the first real-world cryptocurrencies to be used to purchase goods and services. And this year, the global adoption of cryptocurrencies will see Litecoin resting, and if not breaking, its all-time high. So saying that Bitcoin is a store of value and that Litecoin and other cryptocurrencies are better as currencies is an interesting statement. Now, everybody says that Bitcoin is a great store of value, and it has gone up in price a lot. It's very expensive. But if altcoins are going up 10% and Bitcoin is going up 2%, was Bitcoin really a store of value? I mean, maybe they'll go back down 10%, the other altcoins. But in that sense, wouldn't the altcoin be a better store of value? So that's kind of a weird thing to say. Like, it depends on how much things rise and fall. And yeah, Bitcoin's pretty stable. Admittedly, it's a good store of value, but still, there's some things to question with that. So Francisco's comments will follow the new Pay with Litecoin campaign, which, as the name implies, aims to make Litecoin a payment method for everywhere money is accepted. So this is a tweet from Charlie Lee. The team at Litecoin Foundation pulled together all the resources in one place to help businesses accept Litecoin so people can pay with Litecoin everywhere money is accepted. But if they have money, you could use money. So next time someone asks you how they can accept Litecoin, refer them to paywithlitecoin.co, twitter.com/Litecoin Foundation. You guys might want to shorten that link a little bit. Let's go ahead and shorten that up, because I'm literally never going to tell anybody that. Like, I'm on the street and they're like, man, how can I spend my Litecoin? Even though that conversation never comes up. I'll be like, yeah, just go to paywithlitecoin.co, twitter.com/Litecoin Foundation. They're like, whoa, what did you even just say to me? I'm like, I'll slow it down for you. So let's get let's get like eBay or Amazon or something easy. You know what I mean? So paying with cryptos is really good for international. It's particularly good for international transactions. For somewhat anonymous transactions, even though Litecoin really isn't. So in the end, I think that this campaign is kind of gonna fizzle out. I really wish it wouldn't. But that's just my opinion, as there really isn't anything here that makes you want to pay with Litecoin as opposed to maybe Monero or Zcash, something like a privacy coin. So I think privacy coins are starting to get a little bit bigger as time goes on, and coins that are just totally public. Maybe I don't want people knowing that I paid this person and that they paid that person and this person and that person. You could track it all the way back to me. Maybe this guy did something bad with his money and then it tracks back to me, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. So everyone in the core Litecoin camp is speaking very positively at the moment, and they are publicly having a marketing drive and with the view to achieving wider merchant adoption. It reached highs of over $330 in January, and many have been tipping it to go on a full bull run once again. So if Litecoin is successful in its new adoption campaign, I think it'll make a move back to the 3rd largest cap crypto. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. And I don't mean to be skeptical. I hate to sound negative, but we've heard this before with Litecoin numerous times. So do you think Litecoin will regain its place? I don't know. That's questionable. So Now we're on to Tron ups the ante and raises their bug bounty to $10 million. So if you're a really amazing hacker or something like that, you should probably get on this, because this is the best pay you might ever receive. So I won't skip. I'll skip around a little bit here. But following their main launch on the 31st, they announced a bug bounty campaign with a high risk reward of $100,000 for identifying critical network issues. And just a day later, however, he raised the stakes significantly, raising the maximum to $10 million. The reason given was to emphasize just how seriously Tron takes the security of its network that nobody knows what it does yet. Decentralized internet, whatever that means. Isn't it already decentralized? But all right, fair enough. So fatal bugs that can take control of Javatron nodes for $100,000. Fatal bugs that lead to private key leakage, $50,000. Advanced bugs which can incur DDoS attacks, $10,000 and up. Advanced bugs which can incur DDoS attacks in Javatron through their RPC API, $10,000. Intermediate bugs which can incur denial of service in Javatron through the Tron protocol is $6,000 and up. So a bunch of DDoS attacks, trying to get rid of those. Intermediate bugs allowing unauthorized operations on user accounts, $60,000 and up. So the bigger bugs, the bigger the reward. So that's Tron. Now Tron to me is it's just a little silly because of the things that they say, and does anybody know what Tron does just yet? Nobody knows what Tron does. Give me the article saying that what Tron actually does, and not just some corporate spiel like we're going to make a decentralized internet, we're going to make something real new with dApps, and you're like, wow, that's incredibly new. What does decentralized internet mean? Isn't it already decentralized? I mean, I have a server, you have a server, they have a server. That's decentralized. I mean, yeah, you need an ISP. Most people use Google, which is fairly centralized, but what does that mean? What does that mean, Tron? I need to know. Let's see here. We got EOS is like a feudal kingdom with indentured servants, says Weiss Ratings. Or is that Vice Ratings? I don't know. Weiss Ratings claims EOS, the fifth largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, warrants a top rating. However, analysts also claim that the much-hyped Ethereum rival has a rather serious centralization problem, which one may warrant downgraded ratings in the future. Uh-oh. While the world waits for EOS to officially launch, popular cryptocurrency graders Weiss Ratings has shone its bright light on one of the much-hyped cryptocurrency's biggest flaws. The EOS dream will not come true until it fixes its centralization problems, which came into sharper focus with its launch this week. EOS's success, by Weiss's estimations, hinges on the single pivotal factor. So as explained by Villaverde, decentralized cryptocurrency projects have good breadth when they share power and influence over a large group of participants. Conversely, centralized projects do just the opposite, which often contradicts the project's premises. Although centralized projects typically are much faster in terms of transactions, that's just sort of the rule of law in that sense. So right now it appears EOS falls into the latter category. What's ironic is that Block One's motto has always been decentralize everything. And indeed, EOS founder Dan Larimer is often quoted as saying that his main goal in life is to create free market systems to secure liberty and property. Life, liberty, and property. Unfortunately, however, Block One's motto and Larimer's goal are in sharp contrast to the reality of what EOS is today. So Weiss isn't merely trying to capitalize by fudding one of the cryptocurrency market's hot players either. According to the agency's metrics, EOS is one of the most centralized distributed ledgers in the world today. The Gini coefficient used by economists to measure wealth distribution of countries when applied to EOS comes up at 97 on a scale of 0 to 100. Even if you recognize that crypto communities and countries are two different animals, the fact remains that the Gini coefficient above 60 is problematic. EOS's coefficient at 97 is off the charts. It's like a feudal kingdom with indentured servants. That's because EOS owns 10% of them all, so they own 100 million, and then all of the wallets are collected into very few. All of the EOS is collected in very few wallets. So Bitcoin has previously reported that the vast majority of EOS is collected into very few wallets. Weiss recognized the fact that, noting that 10 token holders virtually run the entire network. Those 10 holders will choose 21 block producers who, in turn, will allow the top 10 to dominate the entire platform. So EOS turning into a very bad crypto at the moment. It's not doing too hot in terms of its ideologies. So downgrades are likely. EOS currently garners a favorable rating from Weiss. Wow, what is even happening to me? But that is a subject to change if centralization persists. Regarding future ratings for EOS, Weiss notes, if you invest in EOS, you should be watching them like a hawk. That's what we're doing. And if the bad breadth persists, downgrades are likely. EOS is currently trading at 1464, up 5.49% over the last 24 hours. So it is going up in price, but I wonder if everybody knows that basically 90% of the tokens are held in just a few wallets for the most part. And that's not good, especially when you're doing a distributed ledger like this, like a distributed proof of stake. So that means that, you know, they're going to choose who is going to dominate and run the platform and choose the master nodes of this. And of course, they're going to choose the people with most coins, and that's not good. So everything they don't want you to know about EOS. If you would have told me last year that a startup without a product was able to raise over $4 billion, I would have probably not believed it. In fact, I still find it hard to believe. Yet EOS, a blockchain startup without a product, managed to do just that. And not only that, they actually have 10% of their own EOS, which makes them about $5.5 billion. Everything about the platform which is launching today sounds great on paper. However, the truth is often less rosy as it would appear. The EOS promise. EOS is a relatively new project in the blockchain space that aims to radically improve on what is on the market today. The decentralized operating system will, much like Ethereum, allow developers to build decentralized applications through smart contracts. Absolutely great, because we need more of those, but congratulations. I mean, you're just like Ethereum. The unique selling point of EOS are that the platform will eventually allow for industrial scale applications through elimination of transaction fees and an ability to support millions of transactions per second. EOS developers expect that the platform will at least handle 1,000 per second. Upon launch, in contrast, Ethereum can only handle 15 per second. So, of course, this radical improvement in transaction throughput has sparked a wide interest in EOS. The company behind EOS Block 1 has raised $4 billion to develop it and its ecosystem through a fundraising tactic called an initial coin offering. Oh, those ICOs. They managed to do so without even having a working product. In fact, when they started the ICO, they hadn't even wrote a single line of code. This shouldn't be possible. Still, it can be somewhat justified by the radical improvements that EOS promises over smart contract platforms and the overall hype about such platforms so far. But how does EOS aim to deliver on its promises in the first place? Through a simple trade-off, EOS decreases its decentralization for an increase in scalability. Awesome. Because that's what everybody likes. Decentralization is one of the main characteristics of a good crypto. Simply said, decentralization provides for censorship resistance. This censorship resistance is achieved by involving a large amount of parties in the production and validation of blocks. Basically, the larger this set of parties, the better. Problem is that all these parties have to constantly sync their blockchain to one another. In the case of smart contract platforms, each block creator has to execute the code of every single smart contract. It's a very tedious process and limits the overcapacity of the network significantly. So the idea behind EOS is that the processes of storing the blockchain, the block propagation, and the execution of smart contracts should be handled by only 21 parties. Fantastic. Sounds like a feudal kingdom. Called block propagators. These BPs use optimized hardware and only have to sync with each other instead of a large network. And this allows EOS to have a transaction output like no other crypto before it. Well, that's good. So again, there's a big trade-off in terms of centralization and decentralization. Decentralized, slower. Centralized, faster. Just is what it is. Aside from the insane transaction throughput, EOS also promises that transactions on the network will be completely free. Sounds amazing. So what's the catch? Ethereum needs gas to send. Like ERC20 tokens and such. Ethereum is going to be doing the whole sharding, dealio, and so it's essentially just, creating smaller individual networks, so not everybody has to follow the same network and propagate in that way. And how they're going to do that exactly, I don't even think they're sure. So they're working on that. Hopefully that changes Ethereum's game for good. So don't get me wrong, I believe that the general public is more interested in scalability than decentralization. designing a system that trades a bit of the one for the other is not necessarily a bad design choice. However, it has to be done right. After all, if you take away the decentralized nature of blockchain, you take away one thing that a public blockchain does better than a traditional database: censorship resistance. Without it, there's no actual point of using a blockchain, as you might as well use a traditional database or legacy computing services. So is 21 BPs enough to be decentralized? If the block producers were fully anonymous and had no way of communicating with each other, then maybe, but it's not the case. So first, it's necessary to understand how the BPs are chosen. In essence, anyone who has any EOS can stake their tokens to vote for candidates that wish to become a BP. 21 that are voted into office are allowed to create blocks, and as such, they also receive block rewards. So basically, if you have a bunch of EOS, you can vote for people that have a bunch of EOS to get them more EOS. Awesome. So being a BP is awesome. At the EOS's current price, a BP will be awarded 1.64 million US dollar in block rewards per year. Moreover, another 102 million will be divided among BPs running in the election by ratio of their received votes. Do you see why EOS is starting to get a little shady as time goes on here? On average, let's say a BP will be rewarded 2.5 million a year. Let's all vote on me for a BP, and I swear I'll give some of that money back. Some of it. As such, incentives exist to buy votes. For example, offering kickbacks on the block rewards to anyone that votes for you. Oh man, did I just really say that? Did I just do that? Whoops. No, I'll give kickbacks though. Screw it. It's an incentive. Once elected, all BPs will want to remain in power. Therefore, there's an incentive to maintain the established order, which means elected block producers will form alliances to vote for each other. In Lisk, another crypto using a very similar system, this has led to the emergence of two very powerful mafia-like coalitions, Elite and GDT. A great write-up of hereof can be found here, in case you're reading the article. So once such coalitions are formed, decentralization of the EOS platform will be no more than a myth. Consequently, censorship resistance will be non-existent. The coalitions can even start extorting businesses building on EOS in various ways. We can imagine a scenario where a business's transactions are censored by the cartels unless it behaves in a certain way or pays money to the BPs. And now you might say that such censorship would hurt BPs. It would lead to public backlash and subsequently a decrease in the price of EOS, as the BPs are likely to hold EOS themselves. This would hurt them. However, it is possible to hide your censorship. Straight up censoring a business's transaction are not the only way to hurt it. The BP cartels could, for example, make it difficult for a specific business to function through small changes in how the network works. After all, decisions on what is allowed or not allowed on the network are in the hands of democratically elected cartels. By censoring in an indirect, hidden fashion, any possible public backlash is minimized. After all, the only thing that the BPs will have to do is provide an explanation of why they made the protocol changes. As long as this justification is plausible enough to fool the generally uninformed public, we wouldn't even know if any extortion is going on. And sure, maybe the BPs will act ethically. However, having to rely on their promises to do so goes against everything that crypto was created for. And so we'll read the catch number 2 here. So while EOS boasts about its free transactions, we are left to wonder if this was possible. Why do other cryptos not provide it? So transaction fees are generally used to give incentives to block creators and miners to secure the blockchain. They incentivize rational actors to put in their best efforts to validate and update the state of the blockchain in hopes of being rewarded for it. Every blockchain needs such incentives. The only thing different about EOS is that these incentives are created by the rewards given to BPs I've described above. The coins that will be minted for this will amount to a total inflation of about 5% on a yearly basis. So sure, I don't have to pay a transaction fee when I send money. However, these fees are just hidden and they are accounted for in the BP's rewards. Instead of calling transactions free, it would be more accurate to say that my transaction fees are imposed on everyone who owns any EOS in the form of inflation. So if you guys want to check out the rest of the article, it keeps on going on. Hacker Noon articles are always really long, so it has other red flags. It's a really good read, and this is why I'm a little skeptical about EOS. I'm not trying to be bearish on EOS or FUD it, but it's kind of fudding itself. So 21 people who are going to make $2.5 million a year that are just voted in, and how they're going to stay in is just by basically being a cartel. and they may give kickbacks, and it's basically a cartel. They're just going to pay people to stay in power. Literally, that's literally what we're talking about here. So everybody vote in MrSotko. I'll get that 2.5 mil, and I'll give out $1,000 a day on my channel. Was that shady? That's probably shady, but let's go with it. Let's just go with it. I'll be the only one that actually doesn't act like a cartel, so I'll probably be kicked out after a year. So that 2.5 million will be quite short-lived. But I'll give out $365,000. Come on, that's a good kickback. Anyway, looking at CoinMarketCap here, we have a lot of losses. We're at 339 billion. The last time I looked, it was like 345 billion. So still not in that bull run just yet, but I believe there will be one Q4 likely, as that's usually the case. More people have money and they're building up, and then they sell it for Christmas and the New Year and such. And that's when he typically goes down. So that's about all I have for you today. So I'm going to be live streaming once in a while, a little bit more often, and more often as time goes on. It's usually late at night, like about maybe 12, 11 or so, West Coast time. So I'm usually on late, sometimes in the day as well. It's just random. So if you see me live streaming on my channel, it's usually me just playing a game. You can come say hi. You can talk about crypto. You can talk about whatever you want. So it's not me like switching over to gaming or the channel's going away or anything, because one person actually went into the live stream and he's like, so are you going away from crypto? And I'm like, no, I'm just like live streaming a game and talking to everybody. I like the conversation. People ask me questions. I ask them questions. We all talk about something. One of the interesting topics we were talking about last night in the live stream was, is Bitcoin a conspiracy or not? So it's either, I came to the conclusion, my own personal conclusion, and everybody has their own, that either A, on one side, it was either Nick Szabo and or Hal Finney, and the reason why all of those Bitcoin wallets, some of the original ones have over 1 million Bitcoin in them and have never been touched, is likely because they were Hal Finney's, and he was mining to those wallets, and then he passed away from ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. And I don't mean to be too rude or crass here, but when you're dead, you can't get your Bitcoin out of your private keys. You can't go on and get the Bitcoin. So if those private keys were lost, they will never be moved, and they will always be there unless somebody someday creates a quantum computer the size of the sun and decides to hack them. And then they'll get them. But then by then, it's they're probably not going to be worth that much, or for some reason. But anyway, so I think that's kind of the case. It was Hal Finney who received the very first Bitcoin. So that's kind of weird. So to receive the first Bitcoin, you would have had to be in total contact, and there's emails between them. So he obviously knew who was creating it, or he was into creating it with them. And Nick Szabo wrote the first Bitcoin paper in like 1995 or 1996, basically stating you could have a system with public keys, private keys, and a peer-to-peer network, and send these digital currencies with a proof-of-work type system. It wasn't quite worked out then, but then about 10, 14 years, depending on when the paper was created, about 10 plus years later, Bitcoin comes along. Or B, it's a total conspiracy theory. We're living in a total conspiracy, and it was created by the powers that be, the bankers or whatever, and it was created by the powers that be to test it out. And they say, hey, test out this Bitcoin, and it goes crazy, and then the Rothschilds decide to make the MO coin, and it's going to be the world currency. So it was one of the two, right? Either on the crazy end or the pretty realistic end, one of the two. But come check out the live stream sometime. I might be doing it tonight, and that's probably in, 6 hours or more. But I hope you guys enjoyed this particular episode, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.